There are few things more potentially impactful in a movie than a major character's death. Get it right and an indelible cinematic moment has been immediately forged, leaving audiences emotionally wrecked, horrified, or in rare examples, even deeply amused. However, there are countless cases of movies that leave a key character's fate ambiguous as the credits roll. And every so often, filmmakers will decide to take things even further than that, by burying the lead deep within their story. Granted, the majority of these deaths qualify more as convincing fan theories than strict canon, but examining the facts, there's no reason to believe they're wrong. I'm Gareth from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 movie characters you didn't realize secretly died in movies. Get ready to feel really, really sad. Number 10, Carl Fredricksen, Up. Pixar's Up opens with perhaps the most memorable prologue in animated movie history, as a montage chronicles the life and times of Carl Fredricksen and his wife Ellie, culminating in Ellie's tragic demise in old age. The film, of course, charts a depressed Carl's quest to reinvigorate his life, but according to a popular and honestly damningly plausible fan theory, that's really not the case at all. The theory posits that Carl actually dies in his sleep shortly after he's told to vacate his home, and the fantastical journey with his house taking flight, ascending to the heavens if you will, simply represents Carl heading to the afterlife. As for the presence of Carl's young companion, Russell, he's actually a guardian angel of sorts who, as a Boy Scout trying to claim his last badge, is actually on a quest to get his wings, while also symbolizing the child that Carl and Ellie were sadly unable to have. Okay, I did not need this to start my list. Number 9, Dr. Ryan Stone, Gravity. As relieved as audiences were to see Dr. Ryan Stone touch back down on terra firma, not everyone is quite convinced that's actually what happened. The movie memorably features a sequence where, after Stone makes a failed bid for rescue, she accepts her fate by shutting off her capsule's oxygen supply in an act of suicidal desperation. But before she succumbs to oxygen deprivation, she witnesses a vision of the dead Lieutenant Kowalski, who insists she must endure and resume her rescue attempts. If we accept that everything but the vision of Kowalski is real, then Stone indeed made it back to Earth. But isn't it far more likely that oxygen deprivation killed her before she could get a hallucinogenic pep talk? The rest of the movie, miraculous survival and all, is far more likely the final images pulsing through her increasingly oxygen-starved brain as she dies. Number 8, John Scottie Ferguson, Vertigo. The opening sequence of Alfred Hitchcock's masterful psychological thriller sees Detective John Scottie Ferguson chasing down a perp when he slips on a roof and is left hanging from the gutter. A police officer partaking in the chase then stops to help him, but Scottie's hesitation, per his fear of heights, causes the cop to slip and fall to his death. After a moment, the scene transitions to Scottie now safely off the roof and recuperating at home, with the audience offered no explanation as to how he was rescued. Given the film's overall cerebral tenor and Hitchcock's well-noted penchant for toying with audiences, this has prompted some viewers to suggest that in fact Scottie died after falling from the gutter. The rest of the movie then is simply a trippy result of his synapses firing wildly during his brain's final moments of activity. Are you sensing a bit of a theme yet? Your brain is capable of incredible feats, my friend. Number 7, Marla Singer, Fight Club. David Fincher's Fight Club is of course host to one of the most iconic plot twists in cinema history, that the narrator protagonist and his suavely destructive new pal Tyler Durden are in fact the same person. And if you didn't know that by now, well, that's just unfortunate, isn't it? The film's willfully unreliable nature has invited countless theories and interpretations over the years, though perhaps none more interesting than the assertion that the protagonist's lover, Marla Singer, also does not really exist. The evidence is myriad, that Marla dresses similarly to both the narrator and Tylus at various points, that she was probably the person who packed a dildo in the narrator's luggage, and that Tylus saved Marla from committing suicide to keep all three of them alive, because if Marla dies, they all do. My mind equals blown. And while a film as multifaceted as Fight Club clearly thrives on its ambiguity, the Marla is dead theory is as valid as any other. Number 6, Walker Point Blank. John Borman's 1967 crime classic Point Blank follows ruthless criminal Walker, who at the start of the movie is betrayed and left for dead by his partner, Reese, sending Walker on a quest for revenge. But there's a common theory among fans that Walker actually dies in that very first scene, and everything else we're seeing is simply a hopeful, vengeful final dream from Walker as he expires in the Alcatraz jail cell where he was shot by Reese. This theory is held up by Borman's storytelling, which is at times both non-linear and incredibly surreal, reflecting the jumbled thoughts of a person about to enter the eternal void. At best, we can accept that Walker is an unreliable narrator, but given that Borman himself has confirmed the validity of Walker dying in the opening scene, let's take his word as gospel, folks. Number 5, the Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters. Early on in Ghostbusters, Egon warns his ghost hunting cohorts that they should never cross the streams of their proton packs, lest they cause all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light. Or as Ray puts it, total protonic reversal. But at the end of the film, Egon desperately tells them to disregard his prior advice, with the team crossing their streams to defeat Gozer and save the world. Yet a prominent fan theory suggests that crossing the streams actually killed the Ghostbusters, just as Egon said it would. And so their subsequent celebration and the entirety of Ghostbusters 2 simply amounts to the team being stuck in purgatory. This would explain why the sequel is such a programmatic rehash of the original, and why all of New York seems to have amnesia about a giant anthropomorphic marshmallow attacking the city. We'll have to wait and see how the upcoming Ghostbusters Afterlife ultimately figures into the theory though. Number 4, Sandy Olsen, Grease. Grease fans the world over had their noodles well and truly baked by this mind-melting Reddit theory, which posits that protagonist Sandy actually died at the start of the movie, and everything else is merely her dying soup of thoughts. You see, the film begins with Sandy and Danny meeting on the beach, and in the later song, Summer Nights, Danny sings, "I saved her life, she nearly drowned." But what if, in fact, Sandy did drown, and the increasingly implausible fantasy that follows is simply her oxygen-deprived brain trying to make sense of it all as she dies. Beyond the ridiculous whirlwind romance with Danny, there's the fact that the film concludes with the couple literally driving off and taking flight into the sky. If that's not indicative of a drowning woman's coma fantasy as the theory puts it, then what is? You don't need to answer that. Number 3, Laurie Strode, 2009's Halloween 2. The theatrical cut of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 ends with Michael Myers finally killed for good by Laurie Strode, after which she emerges in front of the police wearing Michael's mask. The final scene sees Laurie seemingly committed to a psychiatrist hospital, as she witnesses a vision of Michael's mother Deborah with a pale horse. The very same vision that Michael himself saw throughout the film. The implication, of course, is that Laurie has lost her mind, and is destined to follow the same murderous path of her brother. But according to director Zombie himself, that ambiguous final vision was really meant to signify Laurie's death. This was confirmed when Halloween 2's director's cut was released, which instead concluded with a crazed Laurie picking up Michael's knife, only to be gunned down by the police. Given that the director's cut ends with the same hospital scene from the theatrical cut, the implication seems to be that Laurie ended up dead no matter which version you saw, and whether you knew it or not. Number 2, Travis Bickle, Taxi Driver. Perhaps the most popular dying dream theory in cinema history stems from Martin Scorsese's classic thriller Taxi Driver, in which lonesome cabbie Travis Bickle slowly descends into murderous insanity. The film climaxes with Bickle shooting up a brothel and rescuing child prostitute Iris, and when the police arrive they find a bloody Travis staring at them, who mimics firing a gun at himself before passing out from blood loss. Ultimately, Travis is held up as a hero for rescuing Iris, who returns home to go to school, before Travis has a promising encounter with the object of his affections, Betsy, who rejected him earlier in the movie. Many have interpreted this happy ending as nothing more than Travis's optimistic death dream, and that he really bleeds out following the brothel shootout. The theory picked up major traction after Roger Ebert supposed it in his 2004 re-review of the film, and though both Scorsese and writer Paul Schrader have rejected the idea, we're going to invoke some death of the author here and suggest that the truth doesn't really belong to them anymore, and this theory is just too darn cool not to be true. Number 1. Hedwig Robinson, Hedwig and the Angry Inch. John Cameron Mitchell's deliriously entertaining musical comedy follows transgender punk rocker Hedwig and her titular band as they toured the US, while following her bandmate Tommy, who became a successful rock star by stealing her songs. Near the end of the film, however, Hedwig and Tommy appear to reconcile, after which they accidentally crash his limo, resulting in a media swarm surrounding the pair. Hedwig is then suddenly catapulted to fame in her own right, with the remainder of the movie comprising a series of surreal music interludes. A popular theory among fans is that Hedwig was killed in the limo crash, and the jumbled ambiguity of the film's final 10 minutes is, yes, a dying dream. It would certainly explain not only the heightened nature of the closing musical sequences, but also Hedwig's sudden and improbable rise to fame. And that's our list. Know of any other movie characters you didn't realize secretly died in movies? Let us know all about them in the comment section below, and do not forget to like, share, click on that subscribe button and ring the bell while you're at it. I've been Gareth from WhatCulture.com, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon.